everybody, it's Shane Told from the band Silverstein, and you're watching Loud TV. I mean, you know, that's something that we've kind of always had. You know, I think some of the people, like, you know, we've been a band for 25 years. So if it was just people that was there at the beginning, everybody would be like in their 40s now, you know? So it's important that the generations turn over and people, you know, constantly discover our new music and come out and they're excited about it. And yeah, it's great to see all ages. 25 years, man, of Silverstein. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think you start a band and you never expect it to go more than even like, well, we didn't even know if we'd ever record an album, you know, let alone 12 of them or however many we've done. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey, taking us all over the world, and you know, it's been way over half my life now, and it's exciting because every day is something new, is a new story, and the story's not over yet, you know. So we just keep turning the pages in the book, and you know, no end in sight. And it's been, yeah, best book I ever read. So it's been a lot of fun. There's been a lot of tears, way more sweat though, way more sweat than tears. Yes, it's absolutely been worth it, man. I wouldn't change a thing, you know. And like, of course, you get older, you can look back and shake your head on some of the things you did or mistakes you made. But I think everything happens for a reason, and the process has been the process. And you know, to be here in Europe, in Paris, on our 25th anniversary tour, it feels very, very cool and very special. And yeah, we couldn't be happier. It's a good question. Yeah, we actually we have a new album called Anti-Bloom that's come out just 2 weeks ago, and people are loving it, which is really exciting. And yeah, it's a shorter album, but the reason that it's shorter is because we have a second album coming out in just a few months, and it's called Pink Moon. And yeah, the albums were recorded together, written together. It's funny, I kind of forgot which songs were on which album when I was listening to it. I was like, oh, that one's on the other record. So it's going to be exciting for people. I think that if they like this album, then they've got the second half of it to look forward to in a really short amount of time. And yeah, that's going to be, I think, exciting if you're a fan, to be able to be like, oh, I like this, I got even more coming. And I think the second record might even be better than the first. So definitely some of the best songs are on it. So it's exciting, man. We got lots coming. We had so many songs written going into recording. We had like 25 that we really liked. And the idea of just putting out like one 12-song album seemed heartbreaking, to have to cut, you know, more than half of them. But at the same time, you're right that, you know, I think attention spans are shorter, and also the way that, you know, you make records now with you know, all the singles coming out before the album. You know, oh, it's single album, and that's kind of over. So this way it's like, well, instead of if we put all 16 songs on one album and just a few singles, so many of the tracks would kind of get lost. So this way we have, you know, a way to do a bunch of singles, an album, a bunch more singles, and an album. And then at the end, it can just be like over the whole year, over our 25th anniversary, coinciding with the tour, we have lots of new music to celebrate. And I think that way too, every song gets its due, you know, gets a fair shake at being special, rather than having it just, you know, be another lost in the shuffle, you know, track 13 or something that, you know, a lot of people kind of miss because, let's face it, we're busy, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of music out there. We've got guests coming.
In the movie.
We've got guests, yeah. I can't say too much more about that. But yeah, this one, no guests. Album 2 has some cool features. Yeah, I mean, we've always, you know, worked hard at making the production the best it can be, and I have to give a huge love and shout out to our producer Sam for being the mastermind behind all that. Adding layers of strings and synths and cool elements that are like not obvious, or if you just hear it like with your iPhone sitting on the table, you might not hear the intricacies. But then if you really immerse yourself in the record, with noise canceling headphones or on a really nice sound system, you'll hear those intricacies that are special. And I think it's cool when you've heard a record many times and then something like that will jump out and you're like, oh, I never really noticed that little counter melody or that backup vocal or that synth or whatever. So yeah, it's something that's a lot of fun to put that stuff in. We recorded in Joshua Tree, California, so out in the desert, very isolated, dark, quiet, peaceful, also a little scary. So it was it was a really, really special place to do this. And I think having that isolation was important, both for working and having no distractions, and also just being an inspiring place to be. I think it definitely affected our approach to the vibe, overall. I don't know about specifically if my singing was affected, but I think the performance was certainly you couldn't help but know where you were. When you're in a desert like that, especially the studio, most studios, it's just, you could be anywhere, it's blacked out. But this one, we had huge windows, 2-meter tall windows of you could see out into the desert and the landscape and the cactuses and the Joshua trees and everything. And that was pretty cool, to have that environment around us. And that definitely, I think, in some weird way, you can hear that. Yeah, it was done by Ryan, our I should say, I was not old friend. I've been a fan of his work for a long time, Ryan Clark, and he's done some iconic records, from the early 2000s, and we wanted to work with him back in the day, and we just never could afford it. But now, it worked out, and he was really excited to jump on this project because, it's a lot of art. There's both albums, and all the singles and everything. And for him to put together this really vibey, cohesive, yet expressive, yet very diverse, I guess, at the same time, work, it's been really, really great working with him. And he's so fast. He's got great ideas. He's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of, different stuff with the way that the digital art is done. There's a lot, you can look at it and take a lot away from it. It's not just oh, there's one image, Bring Me the Horizon, umbrella with the rain under it. It's that's awesome and that's iconic, but you see that and that's one thing and that's great. Whereas I really like album covers that you see it and then you're oh, I didn't never notice that before, or what does that mean, or what kind of symbolism is that, with the album artwork and the lyrics and the music and everything, working together. Yeah, that's a good question. I think, lyrics are for me, but lyrics are also for everybody too, and I think there's stuff that you can say that can be about you, it can be sort of about you, it can be not about you, it can be any combination, and the reality is you can write whatever you want to write, and there's no rules about that, and things can be fictional or non-fictional or both, and that's a really fun thing about writing and being an artist, is that there are no rules really with what you want to do. So it's been a lot of fun for us to do that, and and I think there's been a lot of co-writing too on this record, both stuff that I wrote with some other people, some other co-writers, and then stuff that I wrote with Paul Mark, and stuff that Paul Mark wrote, and stuff that I wrote. And I think having a lot of different speakers on this record, I think really bolsters it. And I think that that's great because, you know, it's not just my worldview or just my emotions. It's a number of people, and I think that probably speaks to the masses a little bit more. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm happy I grew up when I grew up. I think it's crazy now, man. There's just too much. All day, man. Your phone all day, never stops. I think anxiety is a good word for it. You know, like growing up, I never really heard the term anxiety, at least not as much as, you know, as you do now. Of course, like, you felt anxiety here and there, but now I think, you know, the last guy I was talking to, he said like, you know, our album starts with the phone going off, you know, the sound of it vibrating. And he said, like, oh yeah, it's like, you know, the phone, it's like you're scared of the phone. And it's almost true. Like, you wake up in the morning and you look at the phone, you don't know what it's going to say, what kind of problems you're going to deal with, who's texting you, or what the news is, or all that, right? All the time, you know? So I think there's an anxiety that goes along with that. And I think that's why that word and that is so much more prevalent now. People talking about anxiety, because it's real, and it's something that I think we can't escape. We can only learn to deal with it, and that's not easy, you know. But it seems like it's just never ending. You know, if you look back at history, it's like there's been basic essentials, right? It's like food, water, and then once people have that, what do? They like paint pictures and dance and make music, and like that's what people do for enjoyment and for, you know, fulfillment is art. So it's like, I think it's probably after, you know, food and water and shelter, it's like the next important thing. Yeah. So it shouldn't be put aside, you know. We're doing a shitload of touring, man. We did a US and Canada tour already. We're here in Europe now. We're going back to the US to do some more shows. We're going to be going elsewhere in the world. It's not announced yet. Excuse me. And then we have another album coming out. So it's busy, and it's exciting. Thank you. Yes, and thank you for the interview.